everyone, so today I want to share with you the Sailor Fude fountain pen. It's the Fude De Mannen, and there are two types. So I bought the one which is the 55-degree nib angle, and there is also a 40-degree. So the 55-degree is comes in bamboo green, and the 40-degree is in a navy blue. Now this is as it is, it's in the packaging. So today is going to be sort of first impressions video, and I have also ordered the converter to go with it, because I don't know whether there is actually any ink cartridges inside. So also I wanted to use it with this ink, the Waterman ink, and I got that idea from Follow the White Rabbit. She used this pen in her figure drawings, and I really loved how it looked, and I decided to get it. I'm not entirely sure what or in which way I will use this pen, but I want to try it out. It just looks so good. So thanks for sharing it. And let's go ahead and look at the packaging. Obviously, if you're an English speaker, then you are not going to understand much, because there is quite literally nothing here in English, and it just shows you three different images, and depending on how you hold the pen, at which angle, you get a different width of the line, and that is the whole point of this pen. Now it's supposed to be a calligraphy fountain pen, but you know, rules are there to be broken in the art, and so I love when people are drawing with this pen. So let's go ahead and open it. It's a very kind of long fountain pen if you compare it to Lamy, for example, and it also is sort of all it's sort of one width. So for example, if I take my platinum carbon ink, you can actually see that it's even longer, but it doesn't feel like that because it's a tapered end, and it feels very sleek and kind of very light in your hand. This feels quite a little bit more heavier, and I don't think that there is ink in there yet. So it says something in Japanese, and then Sailor Japan, and all I notice is that the top is a screwable top, and it's got this little nib here which will prevent the pen from rolling. So it can roll one circle and it stops, which is good, so it's not going to roll off your desk. But I don't really have any rolling issues with this one either, because this one has these kind of edges on the cap. Anyway, this isn't a comparison video. So here is the fountain pen, and the nib at first looks like it's broken. It looks like, you know, when you kind of drop a fountain pen and the end bends. That's what it looks like, but that's the whole purpose of it, because depending how you hold it on the paper, this is the width of the line you're going to get. So then I would assume you need to screw this part open, and oh, there is actually one cartridge that is included. I'm not going to use this. I'm not sure what ink this is, whether it's soluble or not soluble, so I might leave it for another occasion. It looks like black to me, but again, I have no idea, so I'm going to keep that for another time. Now I'm going to open up the Sailor ink converter and show you what it looks like. Mind you, this pen is super cheap compared to some good quality fountain pens like Lamy, for example. So this one really is, I think it cost me about £6 or something like that, and then the converter is also very cheap compared to others. The in my hands it feels a bit of a cheaper quality compared to the platinum carbon ink converter. That one is just a piece of art, I find. It's just beautiful. This one is got silver. It's not really matching in any way to the pan because the pan has gold, but I don't really mind that at all. I'm just pointing out what I can see. Also, I can notice that there is a lot less ink that you can suck in there. I just wonder if I can show you as a comparison what the Lamy converter, or how big the Lamy converter is. I hope I'm not going to make any mess here. So basically, I'm going to hold it like that. So all of this is ink compartment, and here, if I just go in there, see how deep it goes. Okay, so this bit here is the ink compartment here. So a lot less, and it's also a lot thinner. So I would assume that you would have to fill up this fountain pen very, very regularly. So let's have a look, and let's come back to this one. So yeah, because it's going to have a very wide line, it has that flexibility of going from thin to wide. I can only imagine how quick we're going to use up the ink. But anyways, let's now add the ink into here. I'm going to grab a silicone mat from here so that I never know which side to use. Probably the matte, the glossy side wipes off easily. So anyways, I'm going to use it. If you're new to this, what you need to do is to twist this little handle here at the back, and then twist it up so it goes right to the top of it. Then you're going to click it into the fountain pen like so, and then you're going to submerge the fountain pen up to about this way here where the hole is, and then you're going to start and then hold it upright like this, and then start screwing it up, and then the ink will go in there. And that is all you need to do. So I'm just going to submerge it, hold it, and start sucking up the ink until I get to the top. Okay, now I can see the ink coming up, but it hasn't filled it up, so I'm going to go back in and squeeze it out. Someone told me that you're supposed to do this and then do it again, and this time it's fully loaded. So okay, so it's not too difficult, but then be sure to clean off your nib so that it's nice and clean, and the back as well, like that. Okay, so let's have a go. I'm super excited. Oh, okay. There were actually two ink cartridges, so there was another one stuck at the back, so you get two. So that's quite generous for the price of this pen. Now, if you are a perfectionist, I'll have to warn you, when you screw the top, it's not going to screw at the line of the nib. So I guess you get what you pay for. But again, I don't really mind. I bought this pen for a different reason. So I'm going to keep these two cartridges in the box for the converter, so I know what ink it is. One day I should try it just to see how it works, and then let me just tidy up. Okay, so let's have a look what this pen looks like in writing. So if you're holding it on top and just writing like that, you get a fairly thin line. Then you can hold it a bit more flatter and you get a thicker line. And then let's try this one. Very nice. So you have a big variety of thickness and thinness in one nib. And let's see if you can do this. You can actually turn it upside down and also get this, which is slightly thinner than the first one. Okay, so let's try and sketch something. I have to figure out how to use it, because I'm tempted to turn the nib to the side and draw on its side, which I do with my other fountain pens, but it doesn't work. So you have to go kind of make sure you go straight and then flatten it. It's a little bit difficult to do it at first. Okay, so that is a very quick little first impressions and review for you, so hopefully you get an idea. I do like it, but like I said, it's just a very different pen, and I do like the fact that you can get a fairly thin line with it. And let me just compare with the Lamy in extra fine nib. So I'd say that the thinnest you can get is the equivalent of the Lamy Safari in extra fine, if you are curious. And then that line is obviously something quite special. You wouldn't be able to get that with many nibs, and especially just to have one fountain pen that covers you for 3 different widths. And you know, that's quite nice. And then you can do the other thing you can do with it, but I have to exercise a little bit, is just going sort of within one line without letting the pen go. You can create different creatures, and you can do all sorts of things. But look, for example, the chalker, I can just do it in one. I don't need to go in and sort of fill in anything. So it's been a few days since I filmed this part, and this was the demo for the fountain pen. And I didn't really like it because I didn't think it showcased the pen really well. So then I decided to, on the same day, have a little play with it, and then I realized that it just takes a bit of practice to get used to how the pen works, and I really love this style. So I love how you can go from a actually very thin line to a very thick just with one pen. And I was very surprised because at first I couldn't get that thinness. I thought that this was the thin as I could get it. And here I'm comparing it with the Lamy fine, I think. Yeah, this one at the bottom. And so it's that kind of thickness. But basically, let me show you how this works. Just to start off with, so if you go onto a very tip, so before actually I do that, I wanted to explain something else. So typically, if you have a Lamy pen, you've got 2 grooves here on the side, which basically make it easy for you to hold the pen correctly. So you will write at like a 45-degree angle, I'd say, and you're not holding the pen like this because it's quite uncomfortable, so you're doing it like that, and that's the angle you're going to write. Now, when I first tried the Sailor fountain pen, it basically I tried to do the same thing, but nothing happens. So with the Sailor pen, you need to hold it in a quite uncomfortable way, but it's more of a tool rather than a fountain pen, I find. So, or at least for writing, I would purely use it for drawing rather than writing. But it's supposed to be a calligraphy pen, which I'm not really, I have no knowledge in that, so it might be good for that as well. But I'm purely showing it for the purpose of drawing. So you have to hold it really straight like this, and you probably don't see it, but basically as straight as it is, and then on the very tip of it, so I'm tilting it like that, on the very tip of it you start drawing with it, and that is the thinnest line you can get, and as the more you tilt it actually forwards, the thinner the line goes, so you can get really, really fine. And then you can slowly start bringing it down like so, and then you get a thicker line, as you can see. And then I'm going to go even flatter on the nib, and that's the line we're going to get. We're going to get a thicker line, and then let's continue here. I can get to the thickest like so, and this pretty much would be the thickest line of it. So you have this lovely variation. So that's what I've done here, and I was very surprised to see actually that I could get as fine line as this, and that is the equivalent, and if not thinner actually, than the platinum carbon ink, a fountain pen. But one thing I have to say, this is a very consistent pen, so it will write with this thickness throughout. You don't need to do anything about it, you don't need to hold it in any special way. However, to get this fine line you really have to practice beforehand, and it's not easy to get that line again and again and again. So you kind of really have to learn how to control your wrist in a way to be able to create all of this. So then I also went ahead and I've done another illustration right here, and that's what it looks like. I love the style I can achieve with it, and yeah, it's a really, really fun pen. It's actually a lot more fun than I expected it. I knew I wanted to have it, but like I said, I wasn't sure how I'm going to use it, and I'm really happy with the quite a nice effect, a very striking effect you can create with this. So that is my little demo for today. So I will definitely do a separate video where I'm just going to draw out these sort of girls and give you a better idea of how I'm using the pen. I will also talk you through the entire process, so that will be in a separate video, but just to give you a nice little close-up. Look at the fineness in her eyebrow, in her lash, and then the nice thickness in the dress detail and the hair. Yeah, so you've got a nice variation, but you constantly have to think with this pen how to hold it to achieve the right line, because obviously when you're drawing it's a very kind of quick movement, and not always do you have time to think about these things. So with this pen you have to train yourself to do that. And for example, I started off with using the pen a little bit too thickly for the face, so that was a mistake, but basically it's this sort of line I wanted to get, but the rest I got quite quickly under control. So yeah, thanks for watching and see you soon.